Welcome to the Gym Success Podcast. Really glad to have you with us today, whether you're running a gym, managing one, selling memberships, maybe you're a gym entrepreneur or a personal trainer. Yeah, welcome. We're here for you. And today we're getting into some insights that could really make a difference. I'm Bonnie, excited about today's topic.
And I'm George. Yeah, we're about to unpack something pretty significant today. It's a white paper from Jim Thomas, who really knows this industry inside out. The title is The Hidden Struggle Overcoming Isolation as an Independent Gym Owner. Huh. And our goal here isn't just, telling you what's in it. We want to pull out the really actionable stuff, things you can actually use, like right away in your gym, with your team, maybe even just for your own headspace.
Absolutely. Jim Thomas, he really gets straight to the heart of it in this paper. He talks about something a lot of us feel but maybe don't discuss much in the industry. For independent gym owners, that word independent, it's like a badge of honor, isn't it? It means you call the shots, you build your vision, your mission is everywhere in the business. It feels like freedom. And look, it can be really empowering, but, and this is the key thing Jim Thomas points out, that same independence, well, it can flip. It can lead to this deep loneliness that maybe isn't obvious at first.
Right. And what's really sharp here is that Jim Thomas isn't just talking about being physically alone, like in your office. No, he's digging deeper into what he calls operational isolation. It's more about the lack of, real honest feedback. Not having those peers who just get what your day is like, the ups and downs, people to brainstorm with, or just someone safe to bounce those big, kind of scary strategic ideas off of. Think about it carrying all that emotional weight of a business day after day, alone, without someone else's perspective, without someone to say, hey, great job, or even just share the load when things are tough. And Jim Thomas points out this feeling. It's way more common than people think. A lot of owners are just quietly struggling, thinking it's just them, but it's actually, it's almost an industry-wide thing nobody really talks about.
Yeah, that difference between physical and operational isolation, that's crucial. It shows how sneaky this problem can be, but also how much damage it can do. And to really show the danger, Jim Thomas shares this really great story in the paper. It's a true story. He talks about working with a husband and wife team. They had a gym, really passionate, but they just stalled out. Like growth had stopped, energy was low, and their confidence was shaky, which, that's critical in this business. So Jim Thomas spends 2 full days with them, really intensive, diving into their operations, tweaking their sales process, having those frank conversations about where they were and where they really wanted to be. And you might think, okay, standard consulting gig, right? They needed a big fix.
Yeah, but what happened at the end of those 2 days, that's what really hits home. It reveals the core issue here. Jim Thomas asked them, what's the biggest single thing you got from this? And their answer, since it was surprising, but also really telling, they just looked at him and said, the biggest thing is, we're actually doing a lot of things right. Now, if you tie that back to this idea of isolation, wow, it shows just how much working in a vacuum can mess with your head. They were so worn down, so deep inside their own bubble, they literally couldn't see their own successes anymore. They thought they were failing, but the reality was they were actually much closer to a breakthrough than they even knew. They didn't need some massive overhaul, not really. What they needed desperately was clarity. Just that outside view to show them what was working, to help them see strengths they'd become blind to.
That story, it really gets to the heart of it. It's not about lacking skill, it's about lacking perspective. So Jim Thomas then breaks down exactly how this isolation starts. It often looks like freedom, like independence, which is what we all want, right? But then quietly, it morphs into something genuinely damaging for the business. He lays out these 4 main dangers that pop up when you're operating without that collaboration, without outside eyes, without, a support system.
Okay, so if isolation is this kind of silent threat, what are the specific traps Jim Thomas warns about? He lists them out pretty clearly. First one, and maybe the biggest, self-doubt. Just imagine, working totally alone, no benchmarks, no trusted advisor saying, yeah, that's normal, or that happens, or so every little hiccup, every small problem feels like this huge personal failure. And the wins, even big ones, they barely register. They just fade away before the next problem hits. Every challenge feels like it's your fault personally. It feeds this awful cycle of insecurity. It's like trying to play a game, but you don't have a scoreboard. Maybe you don't even know the rules, so you always feel like you're losing. And that mental load, it can just freeze you up, which leads right into danger number 2.
Which is paralysis, exactly. That self-doubt, without anyone to counter it, it just spirals into this massive fear of making the wrong call. And Jim Thomas says something really wise in the paper here. Standing still in business, That's often way riskier than actually moving in the wrong direction because, if you're moving, at least you can adjust course, right? But being unable to decide or constantly second guessing everything, it just grinds progress to a halt. Complete stop. Like they say, a ship's safe in the harbor, but that's not why ships are built. A gym that isn't moving forward, it's falling behind. Simple as that.
Totally. And the third danger, he points out very vividly, is trial and error chaos. So when you're isolated, you feel stuck, you don't have a clear plan or anyone holding you accountable. You start making what he calls desperate decisions. And this looks like, well, lots of things. Maybe suddenly launching some new marketing thing you haven't tested, just burning cash. Or making a quick hire because you just need anyone, without really checking them out. Or maybe rolling out some crazy promotion just to get a quick bump in cash flow. But these moves, they're usually made without data, without planning, without any real purpose behind them. It's like, yeah, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something sticks, but you're doing it with your gym's precious time and money. And usually, it just makes a huge mess. Waste time, waste money your gym probably can't afford to lose. It's just this slow drain on everything.
And then there's a fourth one, which is maybe the saddest of all. Loss of passion. This one, it hits differently. When you feel like you're just fighting this battle totally alone, day in, day out, that original joy, that spark that made you pour everything into the stream, it just starts to fade. You kind of slowly forget why you even started the gym. That core mission gets buried under all the stress and the weight of doing it all yourself. This is where the dream really can die. The gym becomes a chore, a burden, instead of, your passion project. It's tragic when that happens to good owners.
But, okay, here's the really good news, and Jim Thomas is super clear about this. It's a message I think every single independent gym owner listening needs to really hear. You are probably much, much closer to success than you actually think you are. One of the things he sees over and over with owners who feel like they're struggling is this simple truth. You're not failing. You're too close, too deep in the daily grind, too stuck in the weeds to really see what is working well.
That's such a huge message because it's so easy to just think, I'm doing it all wrong, or my whole model is broken. It totally reframes the problem. It's not about tearing everything down and starting from scratch, throwing away all that hard work. Most gyms, Jim Thomas argues, don't need a revolution. They need what he calls realignment. Think of it like, instead of demolishing the building, you're figuring out, okay, the plumbing's leaky here, the roof needs a patch there, and nobody ever uses that one machine. It's about taking that step back strategically to really see clearly what is working well, what's not performing, what key things are missing, and maybe most importantly, what's the next smart step for growth. It's about being precise, not destructive.
Right. But, and this is the crucial catch Jim Thomas points out, that kind of clarity, that actionable insight you need for realignment, it almost never happens when you're stuck in isolation. That breakthrough clarity, it almost always comes from connection. It's about bringing in those outside perspectives, people outside your immediate bubble, to shed light on your own operations, fresh eyes, experienced minds.
So connection is the answer, but not just any connection, right? It's about qualified collaboration, focused, insightful help. And Jim Thomas doesn't just diagnose the problem, he gives actual concrete ways to fix it. He lays out 5 key strategies, 5 pathways for gym owners to beat that isolation, find clarity, and really get their business moving forward again.
Exactly. Let's get into those because this is the practical stuff. First pathway you suggest, engage with a gym business mentor or consultant. Look, this isn't admitting defeat. It's a smart strategic move. It's bringing in somebody with real deep industry experience, someone who's seen it before. They can spot those inefficiencies you've stopped noticing because you see them every day. They can help you build actual systems that work, that can scale and give you that nudge to get your momentum back. Jim Thomas actually says, sometimes just one day of having someone on site can save you 6 months of banging your head against the wall, wasting time and making bad calls. It's about getting that objective, skilled look at your specific situation, clearing the fog, seeing the path.
Yeah, and building on that idea of outside expertise, the second solution Jim Thomas talks about is join a mastermind or peer group. This is about intentionally putting yourself with other people who just get it, They understand the unique grind of owning a gym because they're doing it too. It's a safe space to share your wins without feeling weird, talk about struggles without judgment, and crucially, hear what's actually working for others right now. The huge value here is realizing, okay, I'm not the only one worrying about this, and you pick up practical tips, real strategies that apply directly to you, things that might have taken you years to figure out alone. It's like an accelerator, really, and it helps fight that lonely feeling.
Third pathway, network locally. And this isn't just about finding other gym people. Jim Thomas really pushes owners to look broader. Talk to local entrepreneurs, other small business owners, maybe service providers in totally different fields. You'd be surprised, he says, how many common challenges you share, even with different businesses. Things like hiring good people, effective marketing, customer service that keeps people coming back, leadership. It's all relatable. Getting perspectives from, say, a restaurant owner or a local shop owner, it can spark really fresh ideas, things you wouldn't think of if you only talk to fitness pros. It's about cross-pollinating those ideas.
Okay, this fourth one really speaks to me. Invest in continuing education. Jim Thomas emphasizes how powerful just constantly learning can be. And it's not only about going to big industry events, although those help. It means regularly listening to podcasts, like this one, hopefully, reading good books on business, leadership, mindset, taking online courses. It's not just about the new knowledge, although that's great. It's about recharging your own brain, sparking your curiosity again. And it's a powerful reminder that lots of other people have faced similar hurdles and found ways through. It just broadens your view beyond your gym walls and fuels your thinking, gives you new tools, maybe some fresh motivation too.
And number 5, the last one, which is absolutely vital. Schedule strategic reviews. Jim Thomas says you have to carve out dedicated time, maybe quarterly is a good rhythm, to deliberately step away from the daily fires. You need to objectively look at your numbers, your KPIs, cash flow, marketing results, what your members are saying, your operational goals. The big danger is just getting lost in the day-to-day, constantly reacting, never planning. So by intentionally zooming out, looking at the data, reassessing where you are, and realigning your strategy, you stop just drifting. You keep things purposeful. You absolutely have to schedule this. Put it in your calendar. Treat it like your most important meeting, because it probably is.
So what's the big takeaway here for you, the independent gym owner listening?
Jim Thomas's final thoughts really bring it all together. Look, the gym business, it's tough. No way around it. It's a people business and a numbers business and a leadership business all at once. It's complex, demanding, and he highlights that paradox again. Independence is what pulls so many of us in, that desire to build our own thing. But that exact same independence, if you don't manage it, if you don't build connections, it can become the isolation that sadly pushes too many great owners out of the business they loved.
Yeah, and his core message, the real wisdom here, is that success doesn't come from trying to be Superman, trying to do it all alone, be the expert on everything. Success comes from, well, asking better questions. It comes from actively seeking out honest feedback, especially from people with valuable outside viewpoints. And maybe most importantly, it comes from deliberately connecting with others who've been where you are, who've tackled similar problems and figured things out. It's about tapping into that collective knowledge.
So if you're listening right now and maybe you feel a bit stuck or unsure what the next step should be, or just frankly overwhelmed by it all, remember this key idea from Jim Thomas. You are likely just one connection away from getting the clarity you need, one honest conversation away from regaining that confidence, and maybe just one fresh perspective away from finding your breakthrough. You've already done so much right to get this far. Now, let connection help you get to the next level.
And Jim Thomas really wants you to know that help is available. Real, practical help. Whether it's fixing systems, bringing new energy to your gym, or you just need that strategic sounding board, that outside view.
Yeah.
He's there to help you get back on track.
You can reach out and contact Jim Thomas today. His number is 214-629-7223, or you can email him directly at jthomas@fmconsulting.net. That's jthomas@fmconsulting.net.
Yeah, and as Jim himself would say, let's get you back on track and remind you you're doing more right than you think.